Oh shit, we've got some technical difficulties. Ooh, hold on. We got a little bit of technical difficulties. Hold on. Let's go back to this screen. Hold on. Ooh. Common issue. Common issue. Hold on. Let's see here. Why is my webcam not showing? Adele, quiet. I gotta figure things out now, lads. Here we go. There we go. There she is. I forgot I had OBS on. Hey, it's not the Grease Goblins channel if there's no technical difficulty. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But, hello guys, how are you all? I thought it would be very fitting to start the stream with some Adele, okay? Especially that song, given it's the end of the season. In my opinion, it's kind of the end of House of the Dragon, but we're not gonna go there. So, let's just start with some things. So, of course, in last night's stream, can't really talk to chat that much. It's very hard to do while also trying to have two guests, while also keeping the, while also just being frustrated with the episode. But, yeah, I do want to say, again, I think people get a little misconstrued, or I think I said that word right. I don't know. If you liked the episode, I'm glad you liked the episode. I'm glad you enjoyed it. But it's just not for me. This is going to be probably mainly a very negative stream, so I want to hear that. This is your fair warning. We're going to go through the episode. If you guys got questions or you want to talk about maybe why I didn't like something, maybe you liked it, let me know. But yeah, I've been talking about House of the Dragon, I feel like, all day and all of last night, because I did my review and then edited my review, then I did my Damon video, edited that. And then also I recorded today a House of the Dragon like character tier list. So I feel like I've been talking about House of the Dragon a lot. But yeah. Angry Grease is coming in every I'm not like last night's stream was the angry stream. This stream is more going to be like frustration and or just like I don't know, more sadness I feel like than anger in this stream. But yeah, this is a big like talking point of a stream, right? So it came out today that it seems like we're going to get 4 seasons for House of the Dragon. If those next 2 seasons are not 10 episodes, I don't know how they are going to fit in everything that happens. And so I do want to read a comment because we have a group chat, you know, on our Discord that we kind of talk about some things between me, the Advocate, and Ricky, and he said a comment that I think is most likely what's going to happen. Hopefully he doesn't mind me reading this out because technically it's not like a public thing or anything, but he thinks that they're going to cut a bunch of battles or combine a few, maybe Kristen's, something happening with Kristen Cole. So this is spoilers, so beware. There's going to be a lot of spoiler talk for the coming season, so just be prepared. But maybe Kristen's death is tied in with some other battles as opposed to being randomly killed off in the woods. Otherwise, there's no way they can close the show in 4 seasons. And I kind of agree. Like, how do you cover a story that even George R.R. Martin thought should have taken maybe 5 seasons? That's even regarding if those would all have been 10 episodes. And like we've talked about, usually you don't go from 8 episodes back to 10 episodes. Usually once you've gone down to 8 episodes, you kind of stick to that 8 episodes. So we'll see. Also, Dakota, yeah, I'm not like the biggest Adele fan. I have a couple songs that I really like by her, but I'm not like the biggest fan of her or anything. But I thought that the song we played, for anybody that doesn't know, it's Skyfall. It's from probably my favorite James Bond movie. It's very fitting for, I feel like, the vibe that is going to come out from the episode. And I think it's been kind of interesting to look at how people view this episode. So I'm not a big fan of this episode, of course. But even if I put out my community post last night, just kind of letting people kind of give what their thoughts were on the episode, and I know I'm always more on the critical side. If the casual fan base views something as like an 8, I'll probably always be at like a 7. There's been very few times I feel like during season 2 where I have had the same feeling as maybe the general audience has. That's been proven by episode 7, episode 6. I think episode 5, I was more in line with kind of maybe the casual audience. I think I was like an 8.5 maybe for episode 4. I think most of the casual audience, or more the general audience, I shouldn't say casual, but more the general fan base gave it more of probably like a 9. I think 2 maybe we were in line, and then, So let's kind of look at some votes, right? So for my community, we had, from 464 votes, we had 10% of people, so that's about 46 people-ish, 46, 47-ish people that gave the episode a 9 or a 10 out of 10. And I want to just think about that for a second. The finale of a season should always be one of your best episodes of the season, right? Maybe it's not the best, right? Because a lot of times it's usually your second to last episode, usually like the big episode. If you think back to, Game of Thrones and even House of the Dragon to an extent, the episode right before the finale is usually the big one, but the finale also is supposed to be one of the best episodes of the season. And so with most people giving it, less than a 9 or 10, because that's 90% then of my general audience, and I've not always agreed with my fan base, or I guess my community, but 90% of people have it at least at an 8 out of 10 or lower. That already should be kind of worrisome. Given that this should have been an episode that should have been at least in that 9 to 10 range if this season was supposed to be like a major success. It was not. So then you go down and you go to 36% of people have it as a 7 to 8. So even if you want to go off of this, right, my community specifically is very divided, right? So my community has 46% of people with a 7 out of 10 or higher, and then a 4% as a 6 out of 10 or lower. So it seems like there's a lot of people that just did not like this episode flat out, kind of like myself. But there was also some people that maybe found this episode, maybe it wasn't bad, but it was disappointing. And that's kind of that 7, I'd say, to 8 out of 10 range. Like, it's still a good episode to you, but you feel like it was disappointing. Like, it didn't really hit what it should have as a finale. And there were, some people out there that really liked this episode. So that is kind of the general vibe that I think I've gotten from what we've seen on social media and from the community at a large. I don't think there has been a general consensus on this episode. I think there's been a lot of people are disappointed by it. I would say that's the general consensus right now. But it's like, how far down are you? Like, there's some people like me where I'm completely lost. I think House of the Dragon has completely just missed the mark on what they were trying to do in this season. There's people that are disappointed, but they're still excited for the next season. I think that's where a lot of people are, where it's like they're disappointed from this season, the finale anyway, and they're, expecting more from the next season. And that's kind of where I think a lot of people are at. Also, hi guys, hi Ghost, hi Radical, hi Dakota, Matthew, Jesse. But how do you think season 3 will end? I think they will save the God's Eye for season 4. Yeah, I do too. I think given that, Matt Smith and Damon is a major character, I think they save that for maybe the opening for season 4 or in those early episodes in season 4, I think. Black screen. Could this mean Greece is a Rhaenyra supporter now? Everything falls into place. Well, I've always been a Rhaenyra supporter, but I don't know. Season 4 is officially the end of the dance, and at this point, it'll feel so rushed. Radical, that's my general consensus. I don't want to just condemn the show that it can't get it done based upon I just have lost all trust in Ryan Condal and the House of the Dragon team. But I don't know how you do it in 4 seasons. It feels a lot like Game of Thrones, where they condensed the episodes and they tried to squeeze it into 8 seasons and it didn't work. So we'll see. Jesse, I also liked the montage at the end. It just felt like we should have been building this should not have been the end of the season is how I feel about it, Jesse. I don't know. I thought episode was great as a mid-season episode, but the Rhaenyra Allison scene was a huge letdown. Uncle Ruckus, I think a lot of people probably have that sentiment that you're talking about, because the episode had a lot of plots that were going on that felt like mid-season stuff, like the Triarchy stuff with Thailand. It felt like that should have been in the earlier or middle parts of the season, because it was a lot of setup, it was a lot of building up to the Triarchy, and it feels like it should have been throughout multiple episodes, not just crammed into the last episode. And so I do think there is a part of it like that, right, where it's like, a lot of this stuff just felt like more setup. It didn't feel like a finale or giving any of our characters some sort of finality, I guess, is kind of how I put it. Like, there wasn't really a natural conclusion for a lot of the stuff going on. I don't know. But I agree, Ghost. I think they need 5 seasons, and I think if season 3 and season 4 are not 10 episodes at least, I don't know what's going to happen. But I don't know. I don't know what that's supposed to be, Matthew. And honestly, I barely remember it. Maybe it's supposed to be one of the children. I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. I think season 3 will end with first Tumbleton. Okay, that's a good guess, Jesse. The Alice Rhaenyra scene was like when Littlefinger gives Sansa the Bolton's complete character assassination. I agree. I mean, I think that both Daemon and Alicent were character assassinated in the last episode. More Daemon than Alicent was. But yeah, I don't know. And I think Rhaenyra is also on a weird path as well. Ryan Connell said the next season will stick to 8 episodes. Is wow. I have no idea how they're gonna do. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know how they're gonna be able to do that. Hi Ashley, how are you? I agree. Mashing battles together just does not seem like a good thing. And that's like when I talked about, and this is where a lot of my frustration comes about. And I feel like a lot of people that were in that stream, and I thank you guys for, the last 2 streams I've done about episode 8 have been the most successful streams on this channel in terms of viewership stuff. Now, that's not always like the best metric, but I had a lot of, I enjoy talking to JC or The Advocate and Ricky and Voice of Old Town, because I think we think a lot alike in terms of how we like things in episodes and the way we look at them. But both of those like streams had like a peak of almost 50 viewers, which is just unheard of for my channel. So I do appreciate you guys at least seemed entertained. Sorry for the people that didn't enjoy it. I know there are some of those people, but but yeah, I do think like my frustration is Fire and Blood, has certain things that are kind of specific. And even those, like, they don't... Ryan Condal, from what I've seen, just does not respect the source material at all. And I know people are making up the argument that, well, Fire and Blood's a history book. It's not exactly what everything happened. But that's just not true when you look at certain things like... How would Alicent, who didn't sneak into Dragonstone, by the way, she went in the front door. Everybody would have known she was there. How is that never recorded in the hit? Like, they changed so much that, like, at this point, it's a complete and lack and utter respect for Fire and Blood and George R. R. Martin's writing. And I could live with that if at least the changes they were making, I felt like made sense with what they were trying to do in the show. And it just didn't really work for me. But, I don't know. Skyfall is a great song, great movie. Yes, agreed. I love that song, love that movie. I actually think 2 seasons is enough to tell the rest of the dance. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, my thing though is like I look at certain characters like Rhaenyra, right? Who is a character that is still not had much development in season 2. We only have 2 seasons left now of the show. That's been confirmed. Like, if Rhaenyra starts doing the things that she does in the book, which I doubt they're gonna do at this point, how is that gonna feel earned? Because we haven't seen any of those kind of creep up in terms of, like there's been no development towards the things that we think she's going to do. I don't know. Hopefully Ryan Connell gets no future Song of Ice and Fire shows after this mediocre season. I can't disagree. I don't want Ryan Condal to be at the head of any projects going forward. He's done too much damage to characters that I deeply care about, and I would rather see somebody else take the reins. I don't know what happened from season 1 to season 2, and season 1 wasn't perfect. I think season 1, I look back on it now, and I'm much more appreciative of it, but season 1 was like an 8 out of 10. It was good. It was a great starting point. It had its issues, but it overall was a good product. Season 2, it just all fell apart. Yeah, Ghost, I think it's going to feel rushed. I mean, we've already kind of seen that in terms of characters seem to just teleport to Dragonstone or King's Landing whenever they want. And I just responded to a comment because I had a big complaint with how does Alicent end up on Dragonstone easily, right? Like, it is contradictory to what the writers told us what happened in the episode. What ends up happening is Aemon says, okay, or he finds out about the Dragon Seed stuff, And he says to basically shut down all transportation. No ships should be being sent out unless they are investigated and looked at. But then we see Alicent goes to Dragonstone, and it's shown off screen. And so somebody's like, well, maybe Orwell paid off some people and all this stuff, and it's not that out of the woodwork. It's not that crazy. But it's like, you can't expect me to infer that, because now I'm making your story. That's not good storytelling. I shouldn't have to make your story. And so things like that just remind me of the late seasons of Game of Thrones. Because when you have this where any character can be anywhere instantly. Now, it is excusable with dragons. Dragons, it's a little bit more excusable because dragons are super fast. You can get from one place to another very quickly. But in terms of just like, oh, this character who doesn't have a dragon, who is not using a dragon, goes from here to here easily, is just insane to me. I don't know. Grease, I hate to say this, but Aegon's conquest, if it gets made with, will definitely reference the White Walkers. I'm like Radical. I'm a little bit more forgiving if Aegon's conquest does, because it seems like George R. R. Martin has kind of changed like Aegon's conquest a little bit and kind of the ways that went down. And so I don't hate that with Aegon's conquest, right? Because that is a crucial part of what is going on, I guess. And so it makes sense that it would be a part of Aegon's conquest. Now, should it be a dominant part of it? Like, House of the Dragon has basically just made the White Walker and the Aegon stream stuff a focal point of the entire season that completely changes characters is stupid. The dance was never about those things. It had nothing to do with that. Nowhere is it indicated in Fire and Blood does it even support the idea or evidence that this was the case. And so when you make your central theme about these things that the dance was never about, it takes away from the actual conflict. You know, Rhaenyra being the hero character that almost has no flaws, that is by far the good character, completely destroys what the conflict was. Dance was two groups of people, squabbling over the Iron Throne and power and things like that, and it destroyed the small folk. It brought chaos to Westeros and destroyed lives. And now it's been reduced to Aemon's the bad guy and Rhaenyra's the good guy. So, I don't know. Nothing really happened this season at all. Yeah, Jesse, think about what really happened. You could have stopped watching after episode 4 and not much really happens afterwards. The Dragon Seed stuff, so watch a little bit of what happened with the claimings, and then that's it. Have I seen the Dunk and Egg teaser? I have not. I do want to talk about it on Wednesday's stream. I think we might talk about some Dunk and Egg stuff and kind of what to look forward to from the channel, from my channel, and just as a whole, what is going to be happening with Song of Ice and Fire and stuff like that. So, again, I don't know, but I agree, Batman, a strong ending is more important than a strong start. Because if you have a strong ending, it's the last thing your viewers are going to remember about that season. Think about Season 6. Season 6 starts off really slow. I mean, Season 6 is a very slow season until the last 2 episodes. And people love those last 2 episodes, and that's what makes Season 6 so memorable for so many people. And House of the Dragon did the opposite. House of the Dragon started really strong because it took a lot of the great, or some of the good writing of Season 1, and it kind of acted on those things. And so the first half of the season was pretty good. It had its issues still, but it was good. It was still an 8 out of 10, I think, for me. And then the second half just completely just ruined the show. So, I don't know. Five of these episodes are interchangeable in my mind. I couldn't tell you what happened in half of them that mattered. Again, there just wasn't a lot of tension. There wasn't a lot of, I feel like, what's the word I'm looking for? The word I'm looking for is when characters need to be doing things, but they're not. There wasn't any, I don't know. I'm looking for a word. I just can't think of it. You guys probably can understand what I'm saying, but the show that has made so many changes that most of the events won't feel impactful next season. Again, I think, to me, I just don't care about most of the characters in the show. I made a tier list for a video that's going to be up probably Thursday. And there was so few characters in S and A, and there's only one character in S, by the way. And for this season, there was a good handful in A, but there's so few characters that I genuinely care about that those moments just don't mean anything for me. I don't know. I was so annoyed that freaking Tylan and that weirdo character got so much time. I agree, Ashley. Like, we're talking about the finale of the show, and we're having set up, like, filler stuff in it. Like, that stuff should have been peppered throughout the entire season, and then they just hand-fisted it into the last episode because they needed the Triarchy stuff to happen. So, I don't know. I mean, Joey, here's my thing, right? Like, I know some fans aren't there yet, but I don't really, like, at this point, if they change stuff majorly, I've already, like, lost faith in House of the Dragon that it won't like impact me as much. Like, these characters, I now recognize them. I completely separate them from anything in George R. R. Martin's world. They just are not part of it for me. And so I think this is just House of the Dragon's own story, and I think even in that, it doesn't really work half the time. So, I don't know. Nah, Andrew, I agree. I thought the Thailand stuff I thought was cringy and just should have been in like the middle episodes, not in the finale. Daron be daring. I do love Daron. I will say, like, it was funny at times, but it just felt out of place. It felt out of place to me. Do you see Condal's comment saying, stay tuned for next season to see if Rhaena is replacing Nettles? Condal is just, I don't want to be an asshole, but saying shit like that is just disrespectful. It's disrespectful to us as an audience. They've cut Nettles. It's not like some big thing. Like, if it is, like, let's say it is that, okay, Nettles has already claimed Sheep Stealer and they're just living in a cave together or something. I don't know. And then we went on this whole side quest with Rhaena, who seems like who's been positioned to claim a dragon, and then she finds out that she isn't. We wasted so much time with Rhaena. Why not just have us showing Sheep Stealer with Nettles? Condal is just, I think he is a little bit frustrated or maybe mad because so many people are complaining about the Nettles stuff that now he's trying to backtrack. And at this point, it's already ruined. It doesn't matter. I agree, Joey, on the Triarchy. Dude, if they fuck with the battle over the gods, arguably the most badass moment in all of the Song of Ice. Yeah, it's one of my 3 moments that I look forward to the most on the entire show. Now I don't really care as much, but like, I'm at the position now where House of the Dragon has to win me over again, like it did with season 1. Like, season 1, I was cautiously excited for House of the Dragon, and it had to win me over the course of the season. They've now lost all that trust in season 2. The writers said that Allison and Rhaenyra scene made them cry. I mean, maybe it worked for them in their heads, but it completely is undercut by the fact that they've already had the same conversation in episode 3. It was completely undercut. It didn't make any sense. Those scenes could have been devoted to showing the Dragon Siege training, Jace, Corlys, and the Whole Brothers, Aegon, pretty much anybody else. I agree, 100%. It just wasn't needed in the finale. I agree, Ghost. Like, regardless of what you think about the Triarchy, it should have been something that was subtly set up the entire season. Like, I would say at least starting in, like, maybe episode 5 or episode 4. And then you have it pay off in the last episode. So the last episode having it be, like, some terms of the Triarchy accept it, and we see them coming then to Westeros. That's how it should have been set up. But they just forced it all. So some are expecting the fall of King's Landing. I mean, I think it is an accurate depiction, but based upon me, someone that, you know, sees like a lot of these leaked images before the season was coming out and leaks and stuff like that, I knew it wasn't going to happen. I don't think it was a bad prediction to expect that, but yeah. It's fringe. I hope they don't go into the Star Wars territory. I am worried for Dunk and Egg. I am as well. Even though Dunk and Egg should be so much easier to do, I am worried about it. Ashley, the fact that Daron was not in this episode is not in this episode. Darren not being in this season is by far one of the worst things they could have done, I think. Star Wars is overrated. I think everything basically once Disney took it over, I agree. Outside of like Rogue One. I think that the show just doesn't understand what the fans want. I think the show panders way too much to a casual audience who has no expectations. See, the problem with that is, though, the casual audience is what makes HBO money. Us, the fans, do not make HBO money. So they're always going to do that. But the thing that they should be doing is how do you connect both the book fans and the casual fans? And I think they did that pretty decently in the first half of the season. Like the Cargill twins was not exactly the way it was in Fire and Blood, but it was done better. It was more entertaining. It felt more emotional. And so it seemed like, you know, House of the Dragon was good at doing that for a good amount of time, but now it's just completely gone. I agree. Andrew, I've talked about this so many times. I've talked about this in I think 3 to 4 different streams and videos in the last 24 hours. How is Corlys and Rhaenyra still not had a real meaningful conversation about Rhaenys and Laenor and everything that's happened between those two characters? There should be this tension between them, but there's nothing. It's nothing. It's just, I don't even know. I am speechless over this season. LML, did you see what the showrunners had to say today about Rhaena not claiming Sheepstealer this season? I don't watch those because I just think it pisses me off more because they just seem so misguided. And I don't want to look at what they were trying to tell me for me to understand the scene. So let me know what they exactly said. But it is just stupid that Rhaena didn't claim Sheepstealer in this season. Have this stupid shot where, oh, Rhaena's looking at Sheepstealer. What did that accomplish? We've been for 3 episodes with Rhaena now, been led on that there's this dragon and there's going to be some big payoff for Rhaena, and no, it was nothing. Again, Joey. So many people use this excuse. I hate how the writers and some people keep saying the narrator's unreliable. If that's the case, then this whole story isn't true. Exactly. The unreliable narrator is the stuff that we don't know. Like there's stuff that's common fact. Like Rhaenyra marries Daemon. That's common fact. There's a lot of things like that that are common fact. You can't then just say, oh, things like Alicent making it into Dragonstone, that's not common fact. That would have come out. There was multiple guards that saw her. Everybody that would have been like at the gate, or it wasn't a secret. They didn't make it a secret. Like Alicent went right up to the front gates and announced herself. That would have been recorded. Like stuff like that. Like it's people trying to cope with the fact that the show is making so many changes that do not make any sense. And Radical, yeah, it's kind of like how I'm doing Rings of Power right now. Like I'm going to do the 2nd season on my 2nd channel. But I have no expectations for it. I don't think it's going to be good. I'm going into it trying to have an open mind, trying to give it a chance and see where it goes. I mean, but I think House of the Dragon is something that I am not as passionate about anymore. I'm not. After I'm done with my wrapping up of the season 2 content, going to season 3, I won't be like having like, for instance, for episode 1 in this season, I had almost an entire event for the season coming out. I had like more than I usually post. I had an entire House of the Dragon week with videos, with other creators, streams, with other creators, all this different stuff. That I don't have the passion to do those things anymore because I don't like this product as much as I used to. Murillo, Daniel, I'm kind of shocked about the amount of backlash the finale got, being the 2nd lowest finale ever for House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. Yeah, I mean, the episode, I think the last time I checked, it had a 6.8 out of 10. So people aren't even rating it a 7 for IMDb. Now, that's not the perfect metric to use because they also destroyed episode 6. Now, part of that was review bombing, but people still didn't really like episode 6, I think, that much. And again, I do think that in this case they are right. I think this season finale between House of the Dragon and also Game of Thrones is either the 2nd or 3rd worst. I think season 7, there's a case for it, is probably worse than this one, but there's also a case that it's better, so I don't know. That's a good shout, Darren. I like that theory. I think Alicent should just leave at this point. Tired of her. Honestly, I agree. She shouldn't be a main part of this series anymore. Agreed, Kodo. It was really stupid on the idea of Reyna and her little adventure. Prequels. Oh, see, we disagree on that. We're not going to get into that, though. I respect your opinion, but I'm a big prequels guy. I do agree that Rogue One is a fantastic movie. Return of the Jedi, I do think is a little overrated. I don't think it's that as good as some people make it out to be, but I do think it's still good. They got so much ground to cover, and I see, and so many characters to cover. I just don't see how they can pull it off and satisfy the masses. I'm panicking a little. Well, you know, there's nothing we can do about it, right? Like, we just got to kind of see what they can do with it. But I don't know. I have very low expectations going into the next season, so we'll just see. I'll cover it, of course, but it won't be kind of the same. I was underwhelmed by the finale because I wanted to see a battle. To be honest, I think a lot of people had that idea because this season was supposed to be the war, right? They hyped it up, and it just didn't end up being that. And for me personally, I don't need all the battle stuff to enjoy a season, but if you're not going to do that stuff, which this season focused a lot on trying to build characters and doing setup for future seasons, if that stuff doesn't work, what is there to like about your show? Like, that's my biggest part. We didn't have a lot of interesting battles or things like that, but we also didn't really have that great of character development either. So, I don't know. I agree, Ander. I think it's just so stupid. Think about what Alicent is saying, and it's kind of almost played up as like this, oh, it's a hero moment for Alicent where she's breaking free from all this stuff. It's like, think about it like this. Her allowing Rhaenyra to take King's Landing is basically her condemning and turning her back on her son, Daeron, who she seems to like, even though she, like she's her good son. She loves her father, it seems to be made clear based off their last interaction. Well, he's being condemned to basically death. Kristen Cole, who's her lover, seems to be being condemned to death as well. Like, I get it. Maybe she's fallen out with Aemond, but she's also condemning Aegon to death. Like, I don't know. Ryan Connell has made nothing to qualify him to run House of the Dragon. I agree. I agree, Daron. I think it's concerning, given how much of the plot we got through in these 8 episodes, to think that they can get it done in 16 more. I think that's the hard part. How does Alicent go from fighting for Aegon to be on the throne to selling out all of her kids? The writers can't even justify that. I agree. It doesn't make any sense. They completely character assassinate Alicent. Ander, I gotta say it. You've been someone that's been very critical of House of the Dragon, and I've always been more of a defender of House of the Dragon. I've tried to give it slack, but I'm done. I'm not defending the show anymore. I'm not defending it anymore. I know people don't like to hear that. I know people, don't like how maybe hard I'm being on the show, but like, that's how I feel. I'm not gonna ever come on here and bullshit you guys and be like, oh yeah, I loved everything in that season and stuff, because that's what people want to hear. Like, even episode 7. I didn't like episode 7, and most of the people in the community liked episode 7. I'm going to tell you my honest truth. I'm not, or what I believe is how I feel. Like, yeah, I don't know. Where do you all think Otto Hightower is? I think that he's basically being involved with the Reach conflict going on right now that was kind of hinted at in the episodes prior. It makes sense. He was traveling down to kind of Old Town and Highgarden, and it makes sense he gets caught up in that conflict, probably with the Beesburys, but yeah. Funny how Rhaena was just allowed to abandon Viserys and Aegon. Yeah, we'll see if there is some sort of repercussions to that, but yeah. I don't even know what to say about Alicent with the whole line of "come with me." It's just so stupid. I don't even know. You think Miguel Sapochnik leaving the show is bigger than we thought? Maybe he saw what was going on. He just didn't want to do it. Maybe he saw the direction. I don't know. I mean, this is my thing, right? I made a video last week about George R. R. Martin and his thoughts on House of the Dragon, and now I don't even know. Like, I feel like that video in the span of 1 week has been invalidated. Because now if I'm George R. R. Martin and I'm seeing all these changes they're doing, I'd be completely pissed off. And something that I found has been very interesting. I could be disproved by this if George posts something in the next, couple days or a week or whatever. But, the season's wrapped and George has gone pretty much radio silent. So I don't know. We'll see, if he posts something, but yeah. We did get to see Tessarion and the Winter Wolves. That was cool. It's kind of crazy that no one is her caravan notices the third most important individual getting escorted is just gone. Wouldn't they turn back? Agreed, Daron. Like, she is a very valuable person. It's mind-blowing that she had no guards with her. She had no supplies. It just doesn't make any sense. It's hard to believe Ryan cares about the lore. He's just making stuff up. I agree. They're basically taking like a bulletin board. Like say you have a bulletin board of all the events that happen during the Dance of the Dragons, and he's picking and choosing which ones he wants to do and how he's going to change them. So, I don't know. This season should have focused more on the next generation. Yep. I've been saying this over and over and over again. They should have taken it to where they started expanding the world and not just Alicent and Rhaenyra. Show, don't tell, basic fucking writing. I agree. Wait a minute. I can't say that word, Dakota. I'm sorry. So will Rhaena flee back to the mountains of the moon like Nettles did after the dance? Who knows, Jesse? I have no idea. I mean, something has to happen, right? Either they're going to have to kill off Sheep Stealer and maybe Rhaena as well, or Rhaena and like Sheep Stealer are just going to have to get separated. It's very much left up to some random stuff. I don't know. Night of the Seven Kingdoms has many locations they'll go to, so they're better not teleport. Yeah, I mean, a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, if they fuck that up, I don't know what to tell them. I mean, it's literally, it's basically they handed you a script, now just cast it and then make it TV. Like, I don't know. Wait till they make Maekar tell Egg to squire for Dunk because it's his destiny to save the realm. Dude, if they do that, I'm done. I mean, I'm already done with House of the Dragon, but I like, oh man, I can't imagine. I have not seen the Dunk and Egg stuff. I want to talk about that on Wednesday. I was surprised that Alicent would go back to King's Landing after Dragonstone. Like, that way her character was headed. It made it seem like she would side with Rhaenyra and maybe stayed because Aemond is a psycho. Yeah, I agree. 100%. Do you think the producers and showrunners expected this polarization? No. There's no way that they made this show expecting half of the community to not like it. Like that, I can't say it's proven because we are book readers, we are more hardcore fans. But I mean, based off of my community, over 50% of my community has the last episode at a 6 out of 10 or lower. So. Also, something I did not expect to come out of this season is me and Preston Jacobs have agreed on a lot of stuff in this season, which I found very surprising because I feel like me and Preston Jacobs do not agree on a lot of stuff. But yeah, I watched because I was kind of like going through because I just wanted to see. I usually don't do this. I was just seeing like what some of the more popular YouTubers thought about the episode, and I was on Preston Jacobs and I was like, yeah, everything this guy's saying, I'm like, I 100% agree. This is exactly what my thoughts are. So I don't know. Yeah, I agree, Ghost. I talked about this so much leading up to the season. I said that Rhaenyra and Alicent should start to become more of a backseat. Like, we're still going to see them, but they should become more of a backseat as the season goes on. And that just wasn't the case, right? It should have been the season that expands the world. We could have had Jace in the Vale in the north. We could have had Daron in the Reach, and, you know, that whole conflict there. You could have had the rise and fall of like characters like Aegon and Aemond. We should have been able to see Daemon. Like, there was just so many different plot lines that they had access to that they limited themselves to. They took the choice of taking the story and condensing it, and that always doesn't go well. So, I don't know. I feel like the show doesn't let us see any of the characters' motivations. They seem to have half-assed every character. I agree. I'll stay for your Dunk and Egg and House of Dragon Season 3. Well, Radical, I'm glad you want to support and stuff like that. I appreciate you. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm excited for Dunk and Egg because I think they should be able to do it right. I think it's a different team working on Dunk and Egg, so it's not the same people. But I hopefully, Dunk and Egg is gonna be good. Oh my god, we're so far behind in chat, but momentum is kind of what I was looking for, Ashley. Season 2 ended by destroying my hope. Allison shielded Aegon in that awful rainy scene in season 1, and now she sells him out to liberate herself. Agreed. Hi, Soup Lord, how are you? Aegon was cold and stuff. Yeah, I think like Aegon's performance to me is the only thing that holds this season up from being just utter trash. I mean, like now that I look back on all these things, it's like what would I want to rewatch in this whole season? Like Aegon, maybe some of the Green Council stuff, but I'm so far back in chat. I feel like this always happens on these Monday streams just because I got so much to talk about. And you guys got so much you want to say, but oh my god, dude! I just realized how far. Sorry, guys, that I'm like very far behind in chat. And I'm not getting to everything. You just guys have a lot of stuff you want to say, and I'm trying to navigate it. Harold Westerling, yeah, just off screen for a whole season, kind of insane. Whatever. Yeah, Helena straight up spoiling things that happen in the book. Given her power, you know that she's correct. I have no fucking idea, use my language, Dakota, why they would ever put that in the show. I have no idea what like possessed their minds to go, hey, here's what happens in the upcoming seasons. I don't even know. The casual audience also didn't like the finale. The difference was that they liked the Daemon Hartree stuff, but hated that there were no battles. Yeah, I just think it's different in the way people look at it. I think that really never was the problem for me. I don't think we needed battles. The stuff that really just destroyed my confidence in this show is characters. The thing that I loved the most about season 1 was the characters, was Alicent's growth. Had a road bump at the very end, but was still, for the most part, good that season. Viserys was fantastic that season. Otto was fantastic that season. I don't know. I agree, Ander. I agree. Apart from max subscriptions, how is HBO making money from the gachas? Well, a lot of people watch it, Jesus. I mean, that's how. And I think a lot of like people collab with them in terms of promotions and things like that. The show still is very successful. Jesus, like there's a lot of people that watched it. It was the most hyped up show coming into probably this year. So, I don't know. I agree. Episode 4 was way better than episode 8. Not even close. God, Darren, I hope not. In terms of Daemon being brought back and all this stuff. Whenever the dance is brought up in your Clash of Kings reread, I'll get triggered by what it could have been on the show. Yep, I agree. Apparently, Warner Bros. Cut it to 8 episodes from 10 mid-production. Battle of the Golds was part of it. Interesting. Very interesting. Oh, yeah, Joffrey also spoils things, so, we do know some things. I agree, Joey. Should have seen Daron. Speaking of course, do we know why the fuck the Velaryons support Rhaenyra? No. Because Rhaenys said that Rhaenyra was better because she doesn't want to see everybody dead and stuff, but now Rhaenys is dead and it's kind of Rhaenyra's fault to a degree. I don't know. Also, Claudia, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate that. Also, let me know, guys. I had somebody comment on the stream yesterday. How is like ads for you guys? Like I genuinely don't know. Like I don't have a lot of experience with how to place ads in streams. Like, do you guys think ads are too frequent? Do you think they're okay? Like, let me know. I just want to get some kind of feedback because I might start doing like manual ads instead of whatever YouTube does. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Agreed, Seawell. That's a great point. Orwell is a source for Fire and Blood. Oh my god. There's like a fly in here. Won't leave me alone. Was it that it was a bad season or your expectations were too high? So, Dakota, I think it's a mix of both. I will accept that. I think it's definitely a mix of both. If you look at anything that I was saying going into the season, I thought this season was going to be a slam dunk. I thought it was going to improve off season 1. Season 1 was significantly more difficult to do than season 2. And so expectations I had were super high going into season 2. And so it's that mixed with the fact that I am usually very critical of House of the Dragon and the decisions they make. Then mixed upon the fact that I don't think it was good at all. So if if you have an average viewer and they say, okay, well, I think the finale was like a 6. That means I'm probably going to give it like a 5 or a 4. So, I don't know. I agree, Ghost. Again, Game of Thrones, a lot of our source material has proven going through the mountains of the Vale is not something that's easy to do. This is what Ryan said. I haven't had discussions with HBO about it. I would just anticipate the cadence of the show from drastic storytelling perspective will continue to be the same in season 3. It's not a good sign. She left Well, she was leaving voluntarily because they were going to Pentos, Dakota. Yeah, I think so as well, Traumatic. I honestly do think so. That George R. R. Martin blog post is definitely about it. Yeah, now I think it was more that George R. R. Martin is pissed off about House of the Dragon. Alicent never cared about her children nor grandchildren. She never gave a crap about Jaehaerys and pretty much sold out Aegon, Aemon, and Daeron. Yeah, that's what the finale told us about Alicent, which is just insane. It's just crazy. It's total assassination, in my opinion. I think they wanted to do that Kenshin, but I don't think that they ended up doing 2 big battles. Greece, you mean you don't like that Rhaenyra thought adding Dragon Riders to her ranks would be deterrent enough to end the war? Ashley, I don't know how the fuck we had a whole season. We had a whole season of Rhaenyra saying, we can do this without violence, and we can do... It's like, shut up, Rhaenyra. Please shut up. Stop talking. Holy cow. How many people have to die in your camp? How many people do you have to get killed before you realize, hey, wait a second. We actually have to do violence. Wow, you have 2 forces that can't agree on anything, and the only way of solving that issue is with violence? What a shock. Like, oh my god, dude. I hate Rhaenyra in this season so much. I can't stand that character. It's insane because Rhaenyra is my favorite character. Oh god. Someone did an analysis of the dance, and they said season 2 only ends with it being through 38% of the war. Oh, they said with the current pacing, they would need 8 seasons to cover until Hour of the Wolf. That's insane. Yeah, I think Return of the Jedi is like good, but I don't think it's like up to the quality of like the other originals. I do think like Luke, I think, is what really carries that film. Like I think the Luke plotline and Return of the Jedi is really well done. I think his conclusion of a character with Vader and Palpatine is fantastic. PK, I hope you enjoy Fire and Blood. I really do enjoy it. I will say, though, when you get to the Jaehaerys thing, I would say pace yourself a little bit. Give yourself some time in between, chapters and such. It's definitely slows down a lot. But I really love the opening and I love the finish. Episode 7 felt more of a finale episode than this one. Yeah, I agree. Even though I don't love like episode 7, I think it feels more like a final episode than episode 8 does. In a lot of ways, episode 8 felt like episode 1 of season 3. N plus A is definitely not a thing, Dakota. I do love the Dark Knight trilogy, but I don't know if I agree if that's better than the entirety of the MCU. I don't know about that one. What's a more disappointing... Oh, Euron. It's not even close. Like, Corlys at least embodies the character, like the actor. Euron just is no semblance of what Euron was in the book at all. She tells Rhaenyra to come with her. She basically pulls like a Kristen Cole to Rhaenyra, Ashley. I agree, Batman. Like, that's a great moment. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi. And that's the thing, like, I grew up on the prequels, so it's really hard as a kid to grow up on the prequels and the style of the prequels, then go back to the originals. But one thing I've really appreciated as I've gotten older is Luke's story, and in the way that George Lucas was able to develop his character over 3 movies is something that is fantastic. It's something I still hold up to Star Wars now. You look at the sequels, why they failed, and a lot of it was because they just didn't understand how to build a character. And, you know, I do think Luke Skywalker will always be one of the best characters of all time. Locked up in Tumbleton, I like that idea as well, Daron. I get you, Dave. Interesting. Otto obviously won't be around for the fall of King's Landing, so they're obviously changing where he ends up in the show. Think they're gonna give him the Ormond role? It's possible, Matthew. I just think, like, think about, okay, so again, spoilers for the next season. But think about the fall of King's Landing. What does that represent anymore? In the book, it was meant as this really great strategic move by the Blacks, right? Where they outmaneuver Aemond and Kristen Cole, and they take King's Landing. It's the first time we see Rhaenyra and Alicent back together. You know, you have the execution of Otto Hightower. It's a really powerful moment, and it like seems like the closing of one chapter of the actual dance. What does it mean in the show? It means the assassination of Alicent's character. It's not seen as this big military move. It's seen as Alicent told Rhaenyra to take it. There's no real meaningful thing that happens when they get to King's Landing. It's just, I don't know. George is currently in Europe and won't be back for a couple weeks. I don't think we'll hear from him for a while. Okay, fair enough. That's some good info, JC. Conspiracy theory, but I'm not convinced that Condell wasn't going to cut Daron, then added him back in when people complained. Now he's backtracking with Nettles. Yeah, I agree. Like if Nettles pops up in the next like season and takes back like the Nettles role, it will be completely fan service and backtracking that won't add up. If you watch season 2 to then season 3, it won't make any sense. I definitely think that the Daron backlash has affected them, and so has the Nettles stuff. Oh yeah, season 8 is way worse. We actually cared way more about the characters in Game of Thrones than we did House of the Dragon. Like we had such more of a longer commitment to those characters, watching over 10 years worth of these characters grow and develop to then be butchered. This was only, 4 years or whatnot. Also, thank you for everybody tuning in to the stream. I am very much shocked by all of the love these streams have kind of been getting lately, and I appreciate you guys. If Duncan Egg is also bad, I will cry until the Winds of Winter is released. Yeah, I think the main goal is I just want Winds of Winter to be released. But who knows? The main characters of this season should have been Aegon, Aemond, and Jace. I agree. And for the most part, Aegon and Aemond were main characters, but Jace should have had more screen time. Orlys should have had more screen time. I don't even know. I don't even know. It's just very frustrating. My God, I'm so far behind in chat. I'm so far behind. By the way, I do appreciate you guys. I'm just super far behind in chat right now. But I'm trying to catch up, guys. The writers should let me cook. Let PK cook. Ryan Connell will still be on Duncan Egg to haunt us. Oh, God. They'll find a way to shoehorn GOT Season 8 flashbacks into Duncan Egg. If they do that, I don't even know what they're doing anymore. Writers who adapt George R. R. Martin's work seem to enjoy triggering fans. I don't get it. It's so weird. Agreed. I agree, Mariah. I agree. I don't know what it is. Yeah, Bela, I think I wish we got more of Bela. I mean, she barely has maybe one scene, or she's in the background in most of the show. Like, I gave Bela in my, just a spoiler for my tier list that's coming out Thursday, I gave her an A, but I didn't feel that great about it because she wasn't in the show that much, but I don't know. I loved Aegon and Laris. Hopefully, we will still see them while they're on holiday next season. Agreed. I did like their dynamic. I think they were one of the bright spots of the season. Would you say the season is better? Oh, it's worse than season 5. It's not even close. I mean, this is what I'll say about season 5. Season 5 at least had a conclusion that, regardless of how good or bad it was, concluded and felt like a natural endpoint for season 5. Think about the ending of season 5. You know, you have Jon Snow's death. You have kind of Daenerys' plot wrapping up. It felt like a actual conclusion to a story that was being told in that season. And the quality was vastly inconsistent in that season, but at least some plot lines from beginning to end were good. They made changes, and they were bad changes, like the Dorne plot, Jaime's plot with kind of what was going on there, Stannis' plot at the very, very end, even though Stannis for the majority of the season was fantastic. Season 5 to me is better than season 2, and I don't think it's close. I don't even think it's close. Like, I don't even think like it's a conversation. Like, if you want to say season 6, yeah, I think season 2 of House of Dragon is probably better than season 6, but I don't know. I'm kind of a season 6 hater, so take that as you will. I have no idea, Jesse, what they're gonna do with Aegon. Yeah, except I can't speak. I can't speak, guys. I just can't speak. House of the Dragon has made it where I can't speak. With exception of the big Netflix hit, Stranger Things, Squid Game, House of Dragon is the most watched thing on streaming this year. Yeah, it was being super hyped up. There were ads everywhere for it. But yeah. Grease, what's worse? D&D just rushing past season 8 to make Star Wars or Condo? Oh, no, okay. D&D's is still worse. Like, let's not even compare that. I mean, Game of Thrones was something that, you know, I grew up with pretty much. Or not grew up, but like, it was, I watched it in its prime during a very formative, can't speak, very impressionable like age, right? And so I grew very attached to a lot of the characters, and season 8 felt like the deepest portrayal that you could possibly do. Like, House of the Dragon hasn't been long, like, hasn't been a show and hasn't even reached the peaks of Game of Thrones to be as disappointing as the ending of Game of Thrones was. Sorry, Dakota, I'm sorry. If they do a Blackfire Rebellion series, I'll go in cautiously optimistic. Yeah, I mean, if it's a different crew, I'll go in cautious, but we'll see. I only get ads once or twice per stream. Okay, okay. House of Dragon could have been great if they did better. Maybe follow canon more than their own ideas. Agreed. Is this comparable to shows like She-Hulk or not that bad? So it's not that bad. I think She-Hulk is like should never have even like it is a 0 out of it's the closest to 0 out of 10 as you can get. Like, at least with House of the Dragon, the production was fantastic. Costume design was great. The acting was great. At times, the show was really good. It's not anywhere close to that. Here's the thing, though. Greece had Rhaenyra killed Aemond and Vhagar at the end of episode 7, there wouldn't have been any violence. Ashley, see, I say that, and then I get bombarded with hate. Like, the amount of hate, or not maybe hate, I should say, but the amount of criticism I got for my takes for episode 7, I laugh at those people now. Because now I'm sitting here going, I don't, hate if you liked episode 7, but then you went on me and attacked me, and I'm just saying, in episode 8, didn't turn out so good, did it? Yeah. Yes, Jesus, I did hear that. I don't think that's a good look. Unless we get 10 episodes with both of those seasons, I don't think that's a good look. You're